not a huge story, but this is just more of the same. So last week or 2 weeks ago, there was this big story, and this was related to Elon's attack on USAID. And it was a story about government waste. You see this kind of stuff all the time. Whenever these budget hawks, whenever the fiscal conservatives, whenever they're making a case for why we need to go in and cut wasteful spending, they always bring out the most outrageous programs that the U.S. government is spending money on. We've got a, $6 trillion budget or something like that. $6 trillion, and it goes to all different places. And we heard a story like this last week that part of USAID's funding, part of their budget, was going to condoms to Hamas in Gaza. So apparently Doge, in their effort to cut waste and identify spending that could be eliminated, they found a program that sent $50 million worth of condoms to Gaza as a form of humanitarian aid, ostensibly so that they could have sex. That's part of their humanitarian aid, so they could have safe sex. And this got all kinds of headlines. It was a huge story. I can't believe we're sending $50 million worth of condoms to the Palestinians in Gaza. And that would be outrageous enough, but it wasn't good enough. Because then the media started pushing the story that Hamas was taking the condoms from the people in Gaza, and they were inflating them with helium and putting explosives on them as a explosive blimp. So maybe you saw this video, but I think it was covered in the New York Post. They said that Hamas was taking the condoms, which is government waste, which they're getting from USAID, and they're filling them up with helium, and they're putting grenades or other explosive devices on the condoms and floating them into Israel as an attack to detonate them over Israel. And what's the purpose of the story? It's to say these people are so irredeemable and so barbaric, they can't handle any aid. If we give them anything, they'll just use it to destroy those peaceful, innocent Jewish people. If we give them even condoms, they'll find a way to use it to attack Israel. Israel's always under attack. We had to kill the children. They were going to throw rocks at our tanks. We had to blow them up. We had to shoot them in the face. They were going to use the safety scissors to attack the IDF. These people are out of control. Like, that's always the story. Well, it turns out, and I'm so surprised to learn this, but it turns out that was all fake. That was all a lie. Never happened. And Elon Musk was in the Oval Office yesterday in the press pool, and the press said, yeah, that turned out not to be true at all. The condoms, and you know, on some level, it's not like it's better, but there is something specific going on here. They said those condoms didn't go to Gaza at all. They went to Mozambique. And Elon said, well, what difference does it make if they're going to Palestine or Mozambique? We shouldn't be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anybody. That's a lot of condoms. I mean, it's funny, and it's true. I mean, I agree with that. But this is yet another example of, I'm not even talking about they said the condoms went to one third world shithole instead of another. That's not the issue. It's always the propaganda about how Israel's under attack. It's always these outrageous stories, like October 7th. We can all agree that Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th. We can all agree that they killed people. We can all agree that they took hostages. That happened. And I'm a Christian. I don't think that people should be killed. I don't think that people should be taken hostage. So I'm against it. But that wasn't good enough. They had to tell a story about how not only did Hamas invade and kill soldiers and take hostages, they said that Hamas was decapitating babies by the dozens, going in. How are they even doing that? I mean, how does that even happen? But it didn't. But that's what they said. They said Hamas was baking them in ovens. Seems a little inefficient. I don't know. I mean, didn't they have to go in and go out? They put them in an oven and cross their legs and set a kitchen cooking timer? I mean, really? They're cooking them in ovens. Mass rapes, beheadings of babies in ovens. And none of it was real. It was all a lie. And you could piece together, you can actually, if you go through the different reports, you can do a forensic breakdown of how those lies were created. It started with like some guy said that some people blew up and their heads came off their bodies. Another guy talked about how there were a couple of dead kids. There were like a house was blown up and like 2 kids died. And, you know, and it's not to say that those things are better, but like over the course of a week, it went from a few unrelated events brought together and then ratcheted up times 100, and you get these ridiculous narratives. And then if anybody expresses skepticism, if you say, I don't think they did decapitate 40 babies, I don't think they did blow up condoms with helium and use them as balloons to bomb Israel. If you express any kind of skepticism about that, then the only reason you could possibly be skeptical is because you have an irrational hatred of Jews. That's the only reason. If you read that story and say, I don't know, I don't believe that Hamas is blowing up condoms with helium, condoms they got from the government, and they're using them to, I don't know if I buy that. They say, well, why don't you buy that? What, do you hate all Jews because of who they are for no reason at all? And then they come up with the word Holocaust denier, October 7th denier. Trump said that. The president said that. While the president is making up lies about condoms, the president said that. Then he says you're an October 7th denier. So, oh, well, Gaza's getting all these condoms. They're using them to bomb Israel. If you don't believe that, you're a denier. So you're a denier until it comes out that it's not real. You're an October 7th denier, which is in itself a badge. And that is motivated by pure anti-Semitism. And that would make you an anti-Semite if you're skeptical of it last week, but not now. Now that it turned out to be fake, now you're just reporting on the latest. But the other stuff is still totally true. So another one of those in the books in the last 2 weeks. And I saw that. I remember thinking, yeah, how long until this is going to be debunked? But I saw that clip making the rounds on Twitter, and then lo and behold, it's not even real. So last week you're a denier. This week, I don't know. I guess they're just going to try and forget about it. But so if you saw that story, that turned out to be fake. And that's how they do everything. That's how they've been doing it for 100 years. It's a fabricated atrocity. And then anybody that doesn't buy it is a piece of shit who should be disregarded. And the people that believe it will support any military adventure, massacre, genocide, whatever that is supposed to atone for the atrocity. So that's that.